Ayukwi, Eknau Sami Jensal, and I'm with Building Youth Power Upriver through Building Healthy Communities. And I'm here today with
Eknau Carol Lewis. I'm the Language Program Coordinator for the Yurok Tribe.
Carol, would you like to kind of explain the program that you work for and how it got started?
The effort to restore Yurok language goes way back beyond the federal recognition of the Yurok Tribe. The elders began real serious language restoration efforts in the late 1960s when a bunch of elders got together and they began documenting it. They made a writing system. The elders were very concerned about it back then. And then it was one of the first things that the tribe put together. There was a planning grant written in 1997. It was funded at that time. And it was to do a survey on what was happening with the language, how many speakers there were, and the language resources, what kind of language things were available, recordings had been done. Everything that there was about the language, would do a survey about it and develop a language restoration plan. So that was done back there. But it was built on the efforts that the elders had already started way back in the 60s. And so everyone at that time was doing trying to do immersion programs throughout the state. But our language was in very serious decline. It was real difficult for them to do daily language classes, to do immersion programs that day. So we decided to do a master apprentice program to develop professional age people who could serve as teachers, pass on the knowledge of the elders. And so that's how the language program started for the tribe.
Right. So could you explain how this program would be an asset to the community?
As tribal members, we've recognized the importance of the language in helping to develop the identity of people, of our Yurok people. Everybody likes the language. Everybody feels the need to restore the language. So I think it's a huge thing in developing self-esteem, in asserting our Yurok identity. And not only that, it's an integral part of the Yurok tribe because ceremonies were done in our language. There's a lot of formula prayers that were done in our language. There's a lot of culture that's tied up in the language. So if we're to continue as a strong tribe, it's really important to bring back that language. But there's just this need and this hole in your heart to learn the language, and even though you may not be able to rationally say why it's so important, I know that it is an important thing. Now the Yurok Language Program has teachers in all of the primary service areas that the tribe serves. We have it in the eastern area here where my primary base is, the Wichita, Petwan, Hoopah, Orleans, all of that area there considered the eastern area, not the district, but the eastern area. We have it in the south district where in the Eureka area in Arcata where people can have access to language classes, and in the northern area of Klamath and Crescent City, that area, we have people who work there. So we try to serve all the people. It's a big job. There's a lot to be done. We've come a long ways, but there's still a lot to be done. We're always concerned about how are we going to get everything done that needs to be done. We can look over here. There's so much language work to be done. There's curriculum materials. One of the things I'd really like to see is to be able to reach out to people who don't have access to classes so that we make independent study units, that sort of thing. But now the program employs, on a regular basis, 3 people. And we have other people who we've been able to get the schools to pick up the cost of language in 3 different school districts. But it would be really good to have more people on the ground. We can never catch up with the things that need to be done. There's always a need for making materials, recordings. We're always behind on that. There's lots of language work to be done because we'd really like to see the Yurok language restored to the status of a living, flourishing language. And in order to do that, you need speakers of all ages, and you need them everywhere. And the desire in the hearts of the people is there. It's just, moving along with the limited resources we have and doing whatever we can to do that.
How can we help you build a healthier community for the Upper Yurok Reservation.
What we do up here in the Upper Reservation also benefits the Lower Reservation and actually Yuroks throughout Yurok territory and our service area. But some of the things that I'm really interested in is to create language that's sustainable into the future. So when we do language materials, I think that's really important so that if I'm gone or the language program's gone, there's things for our people to continue to build their language skills. Because the funding for language is not that great of a pot for funding for native languages when you write grants and this sort of thing. We've been successful till now. But one of the things that we need is we need to build a curriculum, the language materials. I'm especially interested in looking at independent study units so that people can get these materials and study on their own, because not everybody can come to classes. And even if they do come to classes, we can use that type of material anyway, but I'd love to build some independent study units so people can learn on their own, learn at their own pace, study at home, that sort of thing. And in order to do that, we would need to have the staff to do the independent study units and to develop the materials and supplies for that sort of thing. The other thing is to develop the curriculum for our language teachers, because we've just built up to a place where we need to do some serious curriculum materials, because we have credentialed teachers, we have the language in the schools. So getting the materials for them to do that, implement the curriculum frameworks that we have is really important to us. Another thing that we've been doing is we've been doing immersion pods where there's small groups in each of the communities that the tribe serves, building the fluency, because that now that all our older speakers are gone, it becomes even more critical for us to build fluency. And what we're trying to do is build groups of speakers in all of the communities so that you don't have to go somewhere in order to speak Yurok. There's a group that speaks Yurok there, and that group continues to grow. We have young parents who have children who the kids are learning Yurok as their first language, at least along with Yurok. Little bitty ones, and that's starting to happen too. So if we're going to restore the language, that needs to happen on a larger scale. So most of the people who are doing that are in these immersion pods, building themselves to fluency, because it's just been the last few years that we've learned how to build fluency with our speakers. It's taken us a long time, but now we're getting Yurok speakers, younger speakers, who are conversationally fluent, meaning they don't know every Yurok word that existed, but they can converse in Yurok for extended periods of time. So we're getting more and more of them. So that's an important step, too, to build this language into all the communities so you don't have to go way somewhere. Because that's always hard, when you have to leave your life and go study Yurok somewhere. You want Yurok to be a bigger part of that. So building the speaking communities, building language pods, we need those for a while longer. We need to build materials and build things that carry on into the future, that we leave things for the people in language. We have a massive database on Yurok language online that people can go and learn lots of things, and so we can use that to build units, coherent units, so people can study the language on their own. The thing that's a little bit difficult is when we teach language in the schools, teaching Yurok is usually not a full-time job. So when we teach Yurok at any particular site, we tend to move from site to site. So we need people who can do that to teach training more and giving them the skills. And that's part of what the POD does, the Language Institute. That language is a big thing. We don't nearly have the resources that we need to build a language like we would like to build it. The more people working in language to restore it, the faster we'll be able to reach our goal. And it's a critical goal. Like I said, I think it's part of the heart of the people.